what was Timothy Dalton like? I mean, because I feel like he doesn't get his fair share. I think people just think of always like obviously Sean Connery, Roger Moore, and he kind of goes in the background in a sense. But I liked him as a Bond. You got to work with him firsthand. What was he like on set and stuff? And he's a very private person because you don't hear about him much. He kind of living his life, without much fanfare or anything.
Yeah, Timothy was never, a publicity hound. Okay.
There we go. You got it all corrected and we're ready to roll.
How do I look?
You look great. You got the Dodgers cap rocking. So I know your allegiance already from the start.
Well, Dodgers, I also have if you saw my Lincoln Cartier, I have a 2000 Lincoln Cartier, New York Yankee.
Yeah, I was wondering, you're from New York, right? So, I mean, that would just make sense. You're a Yankee or Mets fan.
I'm a huge Yankee fan. But I also like the Dodgers because I've lived in LA since 1980. So I go back and forth,
It makes sense. Yeah, you kind of, it's your adopted team, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Makes sense. They're doing well. So you can't complain there too.
I will never complain.
Yeah, I have the Chicago Cubs rebuild to cheer for. So
are you the Cub? Is that where you are?
Yeah, I'm in Chicago.
The Windy City, the Loop, baby, huh?
Yeah. And the town of many bad sports teams, heartbreaking sports teams.
Oh my God.
So I envy, the good times in LA. When I was living in LA, pre-pandemic, I would always be at Dodger games, Rams games, there's always sports going on there. So yes. It's one of those towns where people, in a sense, they're from all over. So there's not that many local fans, so it's like cheaper to go to games and always find a seat versus somewhere like in New York and Chicago where they're sold out for months ahead.
Yeah, it's tough there.
Yep.
It's Jim, right? Your name is Jim?
Yeah. Yep. I'm Jim.
And all right.
Well, listen, I'm happy to get to talk to you. I'm Alexandra arranged it. Listen, Danny, I would say is one of my guys, in this industry. You've been in this industry for a long time, and it's hard to sometimes find genuine and good people legitimately. And Danny's, I love interviewing him. I always talk to him. He's become a friend of mine. So I always say, like, whoever's part of Danny's films, they become part of his family, especially the on-screen family and off-screen family, as because you've been in several of them. So yes, it's pretty cool, right?
Yes, he's mishpucha. They say to coin the Yiddish phrase of mishpucha. I'm Italian, but I understand some Yiddish, of course.
That's right. I mean, hey, the man's doing well these days. He's got a gorgeous fiance and life's going well. He's acting, directing. So as you know, you're part of his latest film.
Yes, God bless.
Yeah, I'm curious how did that relationship start working with him? Because you've done a few. I think you've done Mobtown. You've done the basketball film. Geez, I forgot the name of it. Yeah, Blackjack. That's right. So you've worked with him.
I did Club Life.
That's right.
And then he produced my documentary, Davi's Way.
Oh, I did not know that. Oh, is that how it started between you guys?
No. It started with us on, I did a film that Ariel Roman directed called The Iceman.
Oh, that's right. And he was part of it. He had a small
Michael
part of it.
Shannon, and I met Danny when we did, because we didn't have scenes together, but I met him at the Waldorf Astoria when we were doing the roundtable press for that. And we hit it off, and he says, hey, I want you to do my film, Club Life. And, you immediately fall in love with him, and we had a great time, and our friendship started there, and it's continued on.
And what I always like about his films and sets, you got the Danny crew, David Arquette. There's a lot of actors kind of that you recognize that you've worked with him on several things. I'm curious, from your perspective, from an actor's perspective, how do you enjoy the sets that's on? Because I'd imagine, one day I'll come and visit, as he mentioned to me. But what are his sets like? Usually, the mood and the feel, atmosphere.
So relaxed, so easy, no headache. It just is, he gets it done. Danny knows how to feel people comfortable. I mean, he did that in his previous life, let's say, you know,
Mhm.
him being one of the best club guys in New York and all over. But he just knows how to be a host. And so that's first aspect. And he can be a tough businessman, tough as nails. Uh,
Interesting.
and he has his vision, his point of view. You have to haggle with him a little bit sometimes, but he's open to all of that as
Yeah.
long as you know, give him good reasons for haggling in terms of directing or a character thing. But mostly he just, you know, gives you the freedom to do a great job and comes in with his touches. He's very talented. I
Hmm.
expect him. He reminds me of, you know, when the golden age of Hollywood, when they were, because he's doing these films on a certain budget,
Yes.
and he's so prolific, and he just turns out a product that is entertaining, it's fun, it's variable, and he's you know, just a great person and a great friend, and I love working with him. Again, you know, I say when I did Blackjack, I say I'm going to do an Irish accent. Well, I don't know about the Irish accent. I says, oh, he's an Irish priest. You know
Uh-huh.
what I mean? So I did that. All right, great. Then I go up with with I Love Us, which is a
Mhm.
terrific picture. Did you see it yet?
Yes, I've been hearing about it from Danny for a while. He's been very proud of this film for a long time. I remember when I was talking to him during Blackjack and Mob, he was talking about this film already for a long time. So it's a special film, I know, to him personally for sure.
Yeah, I think it's his best performance. I think it's his best directing, the best story. I mean, they're all good. They're all fun and
Yeah,
entertaining and everything else. But this really warms you. I mean, if you have any life experience, and it just is a very, you've got the family element, you've got the crime element, you've got the conflict, you've got the love, romance. Back when we were the
tragedy, right?
kids, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
it's the whole, and you know, it's life, and he handles it all very well orchestrated. You know, terrific script, and he delivers as a performer and as a director, all the performances are terrific.
Yeah, no, I spoke to Katie Cassidy last week, and we kind of talked about this film is basically like a slice of life, multiple slices of life, you know, because there's so many different variations of it, but all theoretically very realistic. You know, you people find themselves in these positions, you know, maybe not in all of them that documented movie, but it's a slice of life from so many different angles. And I really thought, as you know, as a friend of his and a fan of his, I understand now what he was talking about all this time, why he was so proud of the film, because it really has a lot of messages and seems like it would have a lot of meaning too. And of course, you know, when he comes up with characters, does at this point, since you guys work together and known each other for a while, does he write characters for you, or how does a collaboration go when you work on one of his films versus for a character that you're going to play?
Davi, I'm doing this film, and there's a character I want you to play.
Yeah.
He knows he's good at casting. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? He has a good eye for casting. That's what a director has to do, you know. And it's you know, he just, you know, he loves the business. And like I
Mhm.
said, he reminds me of the guys that started the business back in the day, the golden age of Hollywood, when they were turning out films with, you know, he has his crew, he has his people, and this was COVID experience, you know, difficulty in COVID time,
Right.
and you know, you're not getting a huge budget. You know, it's not a huge budget. You don't have limited. You have a limited time, but he does it. He's just, you know, force of nature energy.
That's a good way of saying it. I concur
Yeah,
with that, you know, and based on, I haven't even been on his set yet. So, but I can
yeah.
imagine from the guy that he is, that's exactly a good description of it, you know, to work with. You know, you've been in this industry for so long. I mean, decades, and you've been part of it. I kind of wonder from a veteran actor like yourself, what is the most difference that you've noticed over the years? It's in a sense now making movies. I feel like we're in a age of a lot of independent films that are, you know, seeing the light of day, and a lot of filmmakers creating stuff, you know, kind of without the necessity of a studio backing. From where you kind of started, and you know, and you've been part of big blockbusters, what do you see in today's world of filmmaking and acting that maybe you like or dislike than when you kind of were early on in your career?
Well, the creative process, and it even goes in terms of interviewing, how interviewing is changing. Interviewing is more of a social media kind of push button. And back in the day, you had Pauline Kael as a reviewer. You had people that reviewed films that for the most part, that were a student of film, and they would want to delve into the creative process much more. Today, it's kind of like, and a lot of, and I'm saying all, I mean, you got great actors, you've got great directors, you've got great filmmaking. You know, I love the film American Hustle, David O. Russell. I love, you know, there's a Scorsese. I mean, there's great, and great television. I mean, it's very, there's a renaissance in a certain way. The streaming thing also has changed the way we view films. So when I was younger, there was an event happening. You couldn't wait for that November 14th when the Raging Bull was going to be in the theater in Westwood. You know what I mean? 1980. Wow, opening day. You know, and you'd go there and you'd see a ton of people you knew because everybody was waiting for that. You know, so we've lost some of that because of COVID, because of thing. And I think also a lot of during my time, you know, I studied with Stella Adler, with Lee Strasberg, with Sandy Meisner, with George Standoff, with Sandra Seacat, and Milton Katselas. You know, Stella was a mentor of mine. They were direct lineages from and you have good people today, but they're removed from the masters, those masters. And this younger generation doesn't have the vocabulary or the history of film. You can ask them, let's say, you know, John Garfield. Who's John Garfield? And you'll get a blank stare. Who's Humphrey Bogart? Well, people may know him a little more.
Yeah.
But the greats that created the industry, that created, and the, you know, actresses and stuff like that, there's no reference point to the youth a lot. And a lot of it is also the lowest common denominator of entertainment, you know. I'm not knocking the jackass movies, but you know, it's changed in a, and like I said, there's still great quality. There's still tremendous work going on.
Oh, sure. And
then also the technical things. When you did a film before, there would be you had huge cameras. You had a hair in the gate. You do a scene, the hair in the gate, and you'd have to do the scene over again. Is it okay? Here, you've got digitalized things. So and now they're getting better to making it look more filmic. Before it looked just two-dimensional, or it didn't have the texture. It didn't have it didn't feel like oil painting, you know. You felt like you were just dealing with acrylic. So it had a brittle feel to it. It still does in a way, but some of it's getting better at that. When you look at some of these masterpieces, you know, and you go, wow, the way they filmed that, look at that. Even a film like I was just watching recently, The King of Marvin Gardens, you know. I mean, the Bob Rafelson film. I don't think, you've never heard of Bob Rafelson, have you?
I have not.
Okay, and that's not a criticism to you.
Yeah, no, I don't expect to be a know-it-all either. So
no,
you know,
no, this is being, but this is saying that our generation isn't, you know, eating up those films. But yet, you know, I see a TV series like this 000 that was shot in Italy, based on Gomorrah, and you know, even Ozark. You know, the TV series that are being done, and we watch everything in 3 days. You know? Right.
It's the binge watching. I remember, I mean, I'm 35, right? So for me, I still remember appointment television where you'd have like the TV shows with, you know, that hook you, and you got to wait till next week to see what happens, you know, with the cliffhanger. And now you watch a whole season of a show in one day, you know, that you used to, and it kind of kills the anticipation. I still like, I'm old school, I guess, in this way. I still like, even if it's like streaming, I still like to pace it and give myself that time to appreciate an episode and kind of look forward to it, and still like, I'm a big fan of Succession, that show on HBO. It's coming back. So, I like to watch it within like maybe once or twice a week instead of just taking it all in at one time, because it takes away the excitement and kind of the appreciation for each episode when you're kind of just running through it.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of, there is a, look, all I know is if I've watched something that I like and there's more episodes there, I'm hooked.
Yeah, I
So
know.
like
It's tough
4 o'clock in the morning, I'm going, son of a gun, I got to go to bed.
Yep.
But where do you stop watching? That binge watching becomes a thing. But it now also provides, we need more content because it's consumed so quickly.
Right.
So
that's a good
in
point.
terms of content providers, that's much better for people.
Mm-hmm.
So there should be a lot of work and a lot more need for content.
Yeah. Here's a parallel I was also interested to ask you about, because you've been in some big time action movies, especially like, in the 80s. We talked about License to Kill, huge Bond fan right here. Die Hard. You've seen those like classic, popcorn flicks of the 80s that kind of started it all, but you also are part of the more recent version, like in the Expendables films. What was the difference like for you, who were part of kind of the original, crew when they were doing it back in the day versus now, and how did the sets change? Because I'm guessing a lot more CGI now that you didn't have on Die Hard and maybe License to Kill back in the day. You'd kind of have certain explosions being made live. Tell me, what was the difference for you from the action genre point of view, seeing it now more recently and being part of it when they're kind of originally in their heyday?
Well, I like I did, for instance, License to Kill and all those stunts were practical. And people, when they see that on the big screen now, they're going, wow, that was done all practical. It's not CGI.
Right.
So there's a certain other, and also the skiing stunts and the sky stunts and all of this other stuff, where today we can climb a building, you know what I mean? And it's a CGI, it's manufactured, it's talented, it's an art form of itself, but and it's entertaining, of course. But for me, the human story is what's entertaining. I don't like, my son luckily likes, he showed me Transformers. And, it's great. It's fun. It's entertaining, but it's a waste of my 2 hours just for me.
Right.
He will watch, Costa Gavras film with me. He'll watch Z. He'll watch a foreign film, my son. He likes it all. And he captures that. For me, I don't want to spend 2 hours watching, if I get sucked into it or if I have to watch it, it's a one and done. I'm not going to go back to it over and over again, but that's just me.
Right.
But I'll go back to Fellini's La Dolce Vita or 8.5 or Mario Monacelli's I Soli Ignoti, Big della Madonna Street, or Jean-Pierre Valmille's, film in French with Jean Belmondo and Jean Gabon. And, and there's a lot of American films that are terrific. Like I said, I feast off of, what David O. Russell has done, and his Silver Lining Play. I like his style a lot.
Yep.
So, is that something what you're talking about?
Yeah, in a sense, like, yeah.
When you have cuts, you got to realize TikTok. Kids are watching TikTok. Their attention spans are dead.
You just have no time and no attention span these days. It's like 1 minute, it's like, oh, that's all I need to hear of an interview or whatever it is, and on to the next. People don't delve into like take in a full thing of something. It's just in spurts, so that's the way it's consumed these days. I personally still like to consume the entire thing, because you don't get sometimes you don't even get the right message if you consume something in a clip, or whatnot. That's kind of like watching a trailer and thinking what the movie is entirely about. That's how we consume
and you get deceived
everything.
A lot of times. Yeah. That's right. Yeah.
And that's not always true, because, a trailer is a teaser in a sense, clips are teasers, and they necessarily, a lot of times it's not even what you see is what was intended or what it was talked about.
In terms of Danny's film and this I Love Us, it lets you breathe. It doesn't, a lot of films, they tend to smash you.
Yeah,
This
pacing.
here,
Throw
yeah,
everything at you. Yep.
yeah. This here is kind of like, okay, let it breathe. Let me experience, what they're going through, and that's nice. It's painterly.
Yeah. No, and that's how necessarily, at least in my point of view, film should be consumed. It's an experience, right? You're watching it and you kind of want to go along the journey. But when you're getting thrown everything at you, you're just dodging everything and trying to take it all in, you lose the meaning of it. You lose the meaning of the story, the script, the acting, and the characters like that, when you're just getting kind of the shiny things thrown at you. So that's what I mean. That's kind of like the independent filmmaking. You still get that sense of the moment of breathing, the ability to take it in and kind of go along, on the journey as like you're the fly on a wall in that essence. So I do appreciate that about independent filmmaking and films like this, because it lets you live in a moment with the characters.
I'm doing a series now called Paper Empire, where it really breathes. It really breathes. It really, the scenes are not 30-second scenes. They take you different places. And I have a new project I'm directing called My Son Hunter, based on the laptops, and that's going to be very interesting. It's a terrific script.
Is it a series or a documentary or?
No. It's a film.
It's a film.
Yeah. It's a film we're going to shoot in Serbia, and it's based on the truth, but it's a satire. Again, like I say, for me, it's going to be like this American Hustle, based on truth. Yet they had, certain dramatic elements that they licensed. That they
every movie does that, even if it's based on a true story or whatnot. You got to make it cinematic.
We're going to have this, and not a demonization of anything, but just an exploration of it.
So it's going to be exploration of laptops in a sense, and
Hunter and Joe Biden, and all told through the eyes of a young 22-year-old Eurasian girl that meets up with Hunter.
That's interesting. How did you come up with that?
I didn't. They came to me. The
they came to you.
Came to me. It's a script by a guy named Brian Godawa. And Philip and Ann have done projects before. They're journalists. So it came to me. They saw a film I directed and liked it.
Is that something you like to do too now? Because you've been in front of the camera for a long time. Have you, over the years, I'm sure you just learn about the whole operation and what it takes to kind of make a film and behind the scenes. When did you get that interest kind of in you to go behind the camera in a sense? I
always was. I always looked at film as the totality of it. And I directed a film in 2008 that won 9 awards and got very good critical acclaim with myself and Chaz Palminteri, Peter Bogdanovich, Mary Margulies, Ilya Baskin, who's in I Love Us, Melora Hardin from The Office.
She's great.
It's called The Dukes, and it's cute. It's a sweet film. So I did that, and then I, directed I was part of a film called Magic that Leo Grillo did, who's like a cousin to me. He has the largest animal sanctuary. And the film was in difficult shape. When he showed it to me, I acted in after it was finished. And he saw the Dukes, loved it, and said, would I please, help him, or would I fix it? So I then did that. And that you can see on deltarescue.org.
Okay.
It's Christopher Lloyd plays the voice of a dog who's kind of an angel.
Oh, wow.
And it's a sweet story. It's flawed, of course, but it's really, very heartfelt messaging. And I created an opening title sequence to that, and it's good.
I like that you've dabbled in and kind of doing that. It makes you a full creative performer, when you can try at least do multiple things, and
have you ever heard my album? Have you ever heard Davi sing Sinatra?
I have not.
So you haven't. You should go on YouTube and say Robert Davi, Pennies from Heaven, or Robert Davi, Luck Be a Lady, or go to Amazon and iTunes and get Davi Sings Sinatra.
Wow. When
my
did you do
album
that?
My first album went to #6 on Billboard Jazz.
Have you always been into Sinatra music to begin with?
Well,
or is this...
Sinatra was a towering figure. I did my first film with Sinatra in 1977, but beyond that, he was a, half Sicilian, half from Genoa, his mom and dad.
Yep.
He was an Italian American who, was one of the first artists to come out against anti-Semitism and racial bigotry, besides being this towering musical figure and in film. So he was someone I always appreciated, but I loved the opera. I was singing the opera as a young boy in my teen years, studied there in Florence and stuff. And then later on, I wanted to now tackle the American songbook and tribute Sinatra because of people not knowing really a lot about him beyond the headlines of today's generation. And I wanted today's generation, all the Goonies fans, all the Bond fans, and different films like that, to be awoken to Sinatra's contribution to music and to society.
No question. Yeah, no, there's more to the man than, just the classic music, that kind of lives with us, and will continue to live with us. So that's really cool. I'm going to take a look at that. No doubt about it. That's really
take
awesome.
a look at the music, Jim. You'll enjoy it.
Yeah, no, I love Sinatra. So this is, I'm surprised I didn't come across that. So, wow, good to know. I'm glad you shared that with me.
Yeah, I think, maybe people should, prep a little more intensely.
Well, you're asking someone who likes to do things on the fly.
No, not just you, but also, the setting up of the interview could say, hey, Davi's done this and this and this and this, The old days, they would do that. The old days, there would be an absolute preparation.
I'll tell you something, though. I get that stuff. And I think PR does a good job of providing that. For me, I personally, that might be a flaw or not, I like having conversations. So for me, there's a lot of information that's out on whoever I talk to, and especially someone like you too, who's done this for a while. But I like to learn while I have a conversation, because when I approach an interview, I don't feel like it's an interview. Like, I hate the idea of like, oh, I'm asking you questions, you give me responses. Like, I want to legitimately get to know someone from the start when I talk to him. And even sometimes at the expense of like looking up information that's out there,
Let me tell you this. Let me give you a little advice.
Yeah.
Dick Cavett was a good interviewer, and they had conversations. Jack Parr, all these guys were tremendous interviewers, the guys that went before. And they did tremendous research on the individual they're going to interview. You show respect to them, and you show respect to yourself. So when you have the interview, you can have the conversation, and you could pick what you find interesting. Like, you found that singing aspect of me very interesting for a second.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's not a criticism. It's just being able to say, hey, I found this. So did you really do this? How did you get about? Just like we had our conversation. So it's not having to get prepped questions and take the spontaneity and the truth of the moment of two people having a conversation together. It's not taking anything away from that, but it's giving another layer to that conversation. And it's interesting.
No, it's very fair. No, yeah.
It's so it's yeah, that's all. Just interesting.
Yeah.
And it works both ways. You know what I mean?
Totally.
There's things about you I have no idea about.
No question. I think most people I talk to have no idea about me to begin with.
Where were you born? You know what I mean? And that could be that works on the other way. You know what I mean? You can get a thing. Here it is. Here's his. So where were you born? Where did you come from? You know what I mean? Were you born in Chicago?
Yeah. Born in Chicago, raised in Poland.
Ah, Polanski.
Yep.
Oh, okay. Really?
Yeah.
You were raised in Poland.
We're
did. Shooting the film in Belgrade.
With Serbia,
and
right?
is Polish. The writer was Polish.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. But so you all right? So you were from Poland, all right?
Yeah. But you know what? My father is actually from Yugoslavia, which is now Serbia, former
Oh yes.
Yugoslavia. So
Oh, interesting. That's where we'll be going. Interesting. Writing
yeah,
your
you see,
background. See,
so
look at that.
I'm familiar with kind of those regions, as a kid, at least visiting or being there, and having
Yes.
some extended family still.
Yeah. How great. And what does your dad do?
My father was he worked for a lot of years for GM, and
Oh, okay.
yeah. So he worked for them for a lot of years when he kind of immigrated, because he was born, out in Yugoslavia and back in the day. And then he kind of turned into business. He became kind of like a stock guy, so
Oh,
he kind of had a career transformation. And that was an interesting kind of life he lived. He passed away 3 years ago from lung cancer, but
yeah. How old was he?
he was 70.
Oh, God bless.
Yeah.
My dad died of that of 56 years old.
Really? At lung cancer also?
Bladder cancer. My
Wow,
mother
oh,
got lung
that's
cancer.
rough too.
Yeah, my mother had the lung cancer. She was 57.
Oh,
They
geez.
both died young. But I mean, it's like, so is your mom still around?
Yeah, she's still around, but she's been through cancer 2 times,
Smoke?
survivor of cancer.
Did they smoke?
My father did at a young age. So he started probably like in his teens and rode it out till I think age 40, late 30s, early 40. He told him, if you don't stop smoking, you're going to die. And he just cold turkey it. And then 30 years later or so, I'm guessing that was part of it, just all the years of it finally caught up later on in his life. But it could have been a shorter term. It could have been he could have gotten lung cancer probably in his 50s if he didn't stop when he stopped, early. My mother had melanoma and breast cancer a few years ago. So completely different. But yeah, it seems like that's been the story kind of in my life. Cancer, just a horrible, horrible disease that all too many of us know someone close to them that have it.
Yeah, you would think they would have come up with something stronger right now.
You'd think
they're coming
so,
up with
with
some
all these things,
Yeah. And how did you get into this? How did you get into Real Talk?
So I started out acting. I was doing acting. That was my thing. And I kind of fell into it, coming out to LA from Chicago, studying with different teachers and doing auditions and all that. And I also wanted to do radio broadcasting coming out of college. I was big into radio. That was kind of my major. And then, you look for jobs and you're kind of struggling. And I just literally came across like some blog I wanted to write, and guy gave me a chance to write about movies. He just told me go see and review a couple movies. I had no experience. I did it. Then he threw an interview my way. I had no idea how to interview, and it was just all learn on the fly, on the job. And I ended up really liking it, and then went to journalism school for my graduate degree, and became a film critic in Chicago. Started up a film critics group, and it just kind of one thing led to another. And I started up my own outlet called Real Talker. And here I am.
That's entrepreneurial. That's great.
Yeah. It's like, I always feel like, yeah, I could, I still do freelance work. I could do stuff for major things but I just like the idea of building my own home, instead of renting a nice space at someone else's thing. I just like the idea that I can create something and can, in a sense, do my content the way I want it done, and without.
There's a lot for that entrepreneurial spirit, and it's not being owned by anybody, and you having your own ownership.
It's tough, Robert, because, when you look at it, the money, when you start stuff up on your own, you're investing in yourself. You're putting in your own money to do this, in a lot of ways to supplement or find side income to supplement what you do, instead of kind of taking the more sure route of just gigs that are available to be paid for right hand. So I definitely didn't do this for the money. Certainly still haven't been doing this for the money, but there's that satisfaction that, I created something and that one day it could lead to something bigger or another opportunity. But I'm content with it.
Yeah, but you keep building.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You keep building and keep learning and keep growing. Find that other angle. Like I said, there's always a need for different ways of communicating content, and
Yep.
you know, what we're living in, the age we're living in.
No question. Yeah. Age of reaction, you know, reactionary takes. That's what it is. And, you know, my approach has always been like I kind of mentioned to you, I just want to have a conversation, because people can Google a lot of things these days and get whatever they need. But, you know, I enjoy having conversations and learning things, or asking things that, you know, maybe it's harder to Google or hasn't been shared before. And that's what I've always kind of enjoyed the most about what I do, is just getting to talk to these people that everyone seems to know, you know, or think they know, or can look up or watch on screen. But I like to know them as people. What drives them? What are their passions? What's their everyday like? What's their family life like? Because that's more interesting to me, you know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and just like I was going to ask you too, like being a Bond fan, you know, there's always like, who's the best Bond? You got to work with one. What was Timothy Dalton like? I mean, because I feel like he doesn't get his fair share. I think people just think of always like obviously Sean Connery, Roger Moore, and he kind of goes in the background in a sense. But I liked him as a Bond, and you got to work with him firsthand. What was he like on set and stuff? And he's a very private person, because you don't hear about him much. He kind of living his life, you know, without much fanfare or anything.
Yeah, Timothy was never, you know, a publicity hound.
Mm-hmm.
He was very private. He was very elegant and very committed to the work and to the acting. And as far as I'm concerned, he's the father of Daniel Craig.
Interesting.
You know what I mean? Because the Bond film we did, License to Kill, was the transition from the Roger Morris or Timothy's first Bond, The Living Daylights, was starting to transition into this different Bond. And then License to Kill was the birth of, where we had both gone back to Casino Royale, where Ian Fleming talks about that Bond and the villain are mirror images of each other. So we put that into the film, where Sanchez would have charm and danger, and Bond would have, of course, the charm and danger, epitomized what earlier on Sean Connery did. Timothy brought another intensity to it. He brought another emotional intensity to the at that point, the Bond films, which now you see as, you know, when you see a Daniel Craig film, and people looking at all the Bond fans, a lot of the Bond fans now look at License to Kill as a benchmark Bond film, when prior it had gotten respect in some circles, but now it's getting much more revisited in terms of a Bond of the future.
Yeah, and I read somewhere too that Ian Fleming, like Timothy Dalton fit the most his vision for a Bond of all the Bonds. Like he was the most authentic according to kind of Ian Fleming's vision for Bond.
Mm-hmm. Yes, there was all of that.
And it made sense. And being a Bond villain, that's a notch in your cap in a sense too. It's a classic thing. It's like being a Bond villain is not a career maker in a sense too, but to some it might be, but it's a thing that not many get to do. You know, it puts you in an elite category, I guess, of certain people to take on that mantle. When you look back now, you know, years have gone by. How do you feel about that? Being part of, you know, a significant part of this franchise and being part of that club of Bond villains?
Well, there's no actor or actress in Hollywood, and even producers, they look at the Bond films when they're doing their action sequences. Quite a few action films, and I know this from being in other films, they would be on the set and they'd be screening a Bond film action sequence to kind of extract some of it from the Bond pictures, previous ones, current ones. But so they were, and there was always the, you know, you dreamt about being Bond, James Bond,
right,
or the villain, or a Bond girl, and that was even producers. You know, and luckily I got to be, you know, I was born in Astoria, Queens, as was Cubby Broccoli, and grew up on Long Island, as did Cubby, and we had a great, and he was very close friends with Sinatra, who I was friends with because I did my first. So it was you know, to be part of that Bond gallery, and judging on what ranking of Bond villains, you know, I could be ranked anywhere from number 1 to number 3 to number 17. And, you know, but it's nice to have, being in that gallery, the Rogues Gallery,
It really is.
the most successful film in the history of cinema.
Yeah. And it's a long lasting franchise.
Yeah, franchise.
Yeah, that still keeps on going. Do you like where the films are at now? This probably will be Daniel Craig's last one. It seems like, though we're not 100% sure. I think he wants to finally retire maybe from it. But do you like where the franchise is at in recent years and kind of current day?
Yeah, it's fun. I think they're fun. They're always fun. Barbara Broccoli and Michael Wilson, his stepson. They're pushing it for the modern era, and directors and things, technique and change. And Cubby always wanted the Bond films to be classical.
Yeah.
That you would watch them in 10 years and they wouldn't age that much. The few times when they made them for the era, in terms of wardrobe and the music and other things, they didn't age as well. So they learned from that. It was always a thing, let's make this so you can watch it. You can watch a film from 20 years ago and not feel it aged so much.
Yeah. Ageless feel to it. Do you see any actor? I mean, you've worked with almost everyone in this industry. Do you see any actor out there that, should Daniel Craig step down, that you would like to or think would be a good fit for the franchise? Because that's another always hot topic, like who's going to be the next Bond or who should be. Do you personally have any sort of feel for who would you like to see or who would do a good job?
Not really. I mean, there's a ton of terrific actors, and they'll find, there's no one off the cuff. Oh, he's got to play Bond. You know what I mean? He'd be a great Bond. But there's quite a few of them that would be.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And I don't want to, kind of throw that. It's not my. It's up to the producers.
Do you think it should be a British person though? It's always been kind of like that throughout the years.
Well, I'll tell you this. When I did my Bond film, Cubby Broccoli and John Glenn wanted me to test the girls that were going to play Sanchez's girlfriend, but they didn't want me to test them as Sanchez. They wanted me to test it to play Bond. So I played James Bond.
Interesting.
For testing 17 girls for this film, License to Kill. And they're looking at the tests, and John and Cubby look at each other, and we're watching this. And I had picked Talisa, and Cubby thought so too, and so did John. But they're looking at the test, and John says to Cubby, Cubby, Robert would make a terrific Bond. And Cubby goes, I think so too. And I said, stop the bullshit. And he said, no, really. He says, many true things are said in jest. And John Glenn, I figured that would be a story. People say, yeah, Davi's boasting, he's full of crap. And later on, of course, John Glenn, when he was interviewed, and quite a few interviews, he says that. He says about that test that that was said and done, and it was interesting. So it doesn't have to be a British. It has to have the right element of danger and charm, and where you believe this guy can get in and out of situations, and also, it doesn't necessarily have to be, but if it is, it is.
Whose idea was the gecko? I mean,
you mean the that was John Glenn, I think, and Richard Maybaum, and the wasn't a gecko, it was a. Was
it a lizard or chameleon maybe?
No, it was an iguana.
Oh, it was iguana. Okay. They do look similar, but yeah, I was okay. That makes sense completely.
Yeah.
Did you like that whole thing, or?
Oh yeah. It was very, very close to the iguana. It didn't like Talisa Soto, but the iguana got very close to me.
That was awesome. That's a memorable moment. That's one thing that kind of sticks out in the back of your mind, that like, oh yeah, there's an iguana, and that's kind of one of those things that you add on, but it's memorable over the years. And of course, a young Benicio Del Toro too. You look at that, there's a guy. Did you know that he would have like the potential of having such an extraordinary career? back then?
Well, I mean, he and I got along great. He called me his mentor for many years. We
Mm-hmm.
spent 5 months there, and then when we did Columbus with Brando, I recommended him. I said, John Glenn, and I said, hey, Benicio, to play this other Alvaro character. And I felt Benicio was a talent and had a look, and you never know where somebody emerges. You never know the choices you make and stuff like that. That
Right.
happens. So that can go either here nor there, but timing of what it is. Timing gives you everything.
Yeah, no question. You're right. Timing is.
Yes.
And
I hate to, go ahead. What were you saying?
no, I'm just gonna finally kind of start wrapping here, and know you got to get going. The Goonies. Does it surprise you that still like generations now with kids of their kids are still talking about this, and it's kind of like it's a classic, that's gonna sort of pass down through family, and it's still talked about it. Did you ever think it would turn into kind of this classical film that would be passed down through generations and talked about still?
Well, you never know about that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But Dick Donner, even before we were shooting, I think, or just after we started shooting, he said, "This is going to be the next generation's, this generation's Wizard of Oz." He said that, and here it is, the film. It goes on and it keeps giving, and people love it, and they pass it down, and children's watch it, and no matter where I go in the world, I've been lucky to kind of do some iconic pictures, like you said,
Right.
the James Bond one, Die Hard, Showgirls, For Good, Better, and Different, Son of Pink Panther.
Mm-hmm.
That's another big kind of epic filming, working with Blake Edwards, and Goonies, who Dick Donner was a great person who passed recently, and that whole experience with Spielberg and everyone. Goonies is another classic that oddly has not ever gotten a sequel, nor a ride
or a reboot. You wouldn't want that, right? I mean, because
they've done it. They've Stranger Things is that.
I was going to say, yeah.
And they've got another show called what is it? That's on now. That's kind of like a bunch of kids looking for treasure. I forget what it's called, but yeah. So they have taken it, as they do. I did a TV series called Profiler, which was also iconic.
Mm-hmm.
That was on for 4 years, where I played the FBI, Bailey Malone. Now, every single show that Dick Wolf is doing, and every single show and Profiler was the first. It was me, Ali Walker, and Julia McMahon, who was doing another show, FBI, on CBS. But we were the first from '96 to 2000. So I've been, luckily having fun. But I've got to. I'm in a writing meeting with Brian, who's Polish, that I told you.
Oh yeah. There you go.
I've got to kind of move on.
Yeah, no worries.
Really fun talking to you, Jim.
I appreciate that.
Let me know. Send me a message about the music. I want to know what you.
Okay, no, I'm 100% going to check it out for sure. I'm glad you
better check it out, and people better go see I Love Us.
No question.
Film. I think women will love it. Guys will like it. It's got something, and it really, my the reality of a man who wants to love his stepchildren.
Mm-hmm.
That aspect to it is so very touching, so very moving, and I think it adds another element. You don't see a lot of films dealing with that issue, and this is a crime drama that brings that into it. You know what I mean? And
out of Danny's head. That's what I mean. That's what he brings life in an interesting way, and you said there.
The way he picks his material is very interesting.
Absolutely.
Something speaks to him, and he goes for it. I give him tremendous respect. He's a terrific talent. Well,
I'll pass that along to him. I'm sure he knows it, but I'll pass it along that you said that. So really appreciate the time, Robert. But like I said, I've enjoyed your work over the years. I've seen several of the things you've done. I didn't do the nitty gritty research, but we got a good story and lesson out of it too, and a conversation. So that's the best part of it.
That's what it's about. Hey, and it's life is about growth.
Yep, exactly. If you're not growing, you're not moving forward.
Yeah, and if my mother used to say, nobody will tell you your face is dirty. But I gotta say, Allie Lasky did. She was great. Last night on the red carpet, I had a booger coming out of my nose.
Oh, did she?
On
Oh,
the
that's a
red
good
carpet.
call.
Now, who would say anything? And she goes to me, you know what I mean? She was so sweet. So
I love it.
she took
Well,
care of
that's
that.
you're in good company there. So
Yes, yes.
hopefully I can be at the premiere of the next one when you team up again with Danny. So,
Yes.
but
Yeah, I wish you were there.
absolutely. I'll be around in LA coming soon. I got my stuff still in storage out there, so I'll be
Oh
back.
God. Okay. All right.
Thank
Jimmy.
you, Robert. Take care and go say hi to your Polish friend. Say
Brian,
from another Polish guy.
another Polish guy.
Jak
He
się ma
says,
dobrze.
you heard him. He said,
Yep.
he said, "Jak się masz dobrze."
Yeah.
He laughed.
There you go. Perfect. Thank you so much. Hope to catch up with you down the road again.
I hope so too. Let me ask
Thank
you
you.
something.
Yeah.
Let's try something here because maybe if I take this, do you hear me now?
I hear you now.
Wait, I want to do this. I want to see if I take you off of headphones.
Mm-hmm.
If I take headphones off, wait, no, that's the microphone. Okay.
That's the microphone.
Wait, I gotta do this. Okay, you hear me now, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I don't think I can. If it's the headphone and the microphone. I can't do
Yeah,
it.
I think it's double
My
connected.
speaker.
Yep.
Yeah, but it gives better voice, right? Better
It
sound.
does. Yeah, very crisp and
Oops.
clear. So I'd say use the microphone.
What happened to you, brother? Where are you? Hold on. There you.
I'm still here.
All right, Jimmy. Take care, babe.
You too, Robert. Thanks for
All right.
everything.
Thank
Talk
you.
soon.
Bye.
Bye-bye.